I stopped buying fertilizer forever, and honestly, my garden has never been healthier. The moment that changed everything for me wasn't a harvest, a yield boost, or even some miracle plant. It was the realization that forests have been growing perfect food systems for millions of years without fertilizer, compost bins, or soil amendments. And, the secret was right under my feet: fallen leaves. Once you truly understand what leaf litter does, fertilizer just stops making sense, and gardening becomes simpler, cheaper, and way more productive. For the Farm Basic YouTube channel community, this isn't just theory or recycled advice. This is a real, repeatable system that turns waste into fertility and builds better food every single season with zero purchased inputs. Why soil is not the hero we think it is. Garden culture has kind of convinced us that soil itself is the foundation of plant health, but soil, as we usually define it, is often lifeless, compacted, and dependent on constant feeding. Nature just doesn't work that way. In forests, the ground is rarely mineral soil. It's layers of decomposing leaves, forming a living carpet that feeds everything above it. Plants don't actually need soil. What they really need is access to nutrients, water, oxygen, and a biological delivery system that knows when and how to release them. Decomposing leaves create exactly that. As leaves break down, they form a soft, carbon-rich matrix that holds moisture like a sponge, supports microbial life, and releases nutrients slowly and consistently. Roots don't have to fight through compacted ground anymore. Instead, they glide through organic matter, forming powerful relationships with fungi and bacteria that deliver minerals directly into plant cells. This is why, plants grown in leaf-based systems often appear darker, thicker, and noticeably more resilient than fertilized plants. They aren't being force-fed, they are being nourished. The fertility myth that keeps gardeners stuck. The biggest misconception in gardening is the belief that fertility must always be added from the outside. This idea keeps gardeners buying bags, bottles, and powders, while their soil slowly loses structure and life. Fertilizer gives a short burst of growth, then disappears. Leaf litter feeds the system itself. Every leaf contains minerals pulled from deep within the plant during the growing season. When leaves fall and decompose, those minerals return to the surface in a perfectly balanced form. Instead of dumping nutrients into the soil all at once, microbes regulate delivery based on plant demand. This prevents nutrient burn, eliminates salt buildup, and produces steady, strong growth rather than weak, watery plants. Once you see fertility as a cycle instead of an input, the entire gardening mindset shifts. Why decomposing leaves are alive, not dead. Decomposed leaves are not waste. They are actually one of the most biologically active materials you can put in a garden. Fungi spread vast underground networks that transport water and minerals far beyond the reach of roots alone. Bacteria break down organic compounds into plant-available forms exactly when they're needed. Protozoa regulate populations and release nutrients in perfect balance. This living web acts like irrigation and fertilization combined. As leaves turn into leaf mold, they can hold several times their weight in water. That means less watering, cooler root zones, and fewer stress spikes. Plants growing in this environment don't panic during heat or drought, which is why they grow faster and resist pests naturally. So let's talk about how to build a leaf-powered garden bed. First, you'll want to collect dry, fallen leaves and be sure to avoid any thick, woody material. Broad leaves are definitely best, since they break down faster and create a softer growing medium. If you have the time, shredding the leaves will speed things up, but honestly, whole leaves work perfectly well if you just give them a bit of time. For a standard garden bed that measures about 1 meter by 3 meters, you'll want to build a loose leaf layer that's roughly 40 to 50 centimeters deep. Now, it might look a bit excessive at first, but don't worry. Decomposition causes rapid collapse. Lightly moisten the leaves so they're damp, but not dripping wet. To activate biology without having to buy anything, simply mix exactly 10 liters of water with 1 full handful of finished compost or native garden soil. Pour this evenly over your leaf pile. This step introduces microbes that will start the breakdown process naturally. Just cover the pile loosely and let it sit for 2 to 4 weeks. During this time, the leaves will darken, soften, and begin transforming into leaf mold. Planting directly into leaf litter is a great way to get started. Once partial decomposition begins, planting can start. For seedlings, you just create a small pocket in the leaf layer and add a thin ring of native soil around the roots to anchor the plant. The surrounding leaf litter will take over quickly as roots expand. For seeds, sprinkle a thin layer of fine leaf mold or soil over the planting area to ensure good seed contact and moisture retention. Germination is often faster than in bare soil because moisture levels remain stable. Watering without drowning the system is important. Water gently and deeply. For a 1 by 3 meter bed, apply about 20 liters of water twice per week during establishment. Once plants are growing, you can reduce frequency. Leaf litter holds moisture extremely well, and honestly, overwatering is one of the few ways to slow the system down. Roots grown in leaf-based systems go deeper and wider, making plants more drought-resistant over time. The leaf soak that accelerates everything. If you want faster results, use a simple leaf soak that jumpstarts fungal activity without fertilizer. Fill a container with exactly 20 liters of water and add 2 large handfuls of crushed fresh leaves. Let it sit for 24 hours, stirring once or twice. Pour this liquid evenly over the bed during setup and again after 2 weeks. This introduces soluble carbon and microbes that accelerate decomposition and root colonization. 2 applications are enough. More is unnecessary and, honestly, counterproductive. So, what actually grows best in leaf litter systems? Well, leaf litter systems really favor crops that thrive in biologically active environments. Leafy greens often grow darker and, honestly, more flavorful. Fruiting plants, on the other hand, tend to develop thicker stems and deeper root systems before they start setting fruit. And root crops? They usually grow smoother and more uniform, since the medium is loose and pretty much free of obstructions. You know, the biggest surprise for most growers is actually the taste. Food grown in leaf litter has a stronger aroma, a deeper flavor, and even better storage life. This all comes from balanced mineral uptake, rather than, say, forced growth. Using leaves in containers and raised beds is, honestly, a great idea. This system works in containers, raised beds, and even open ground. For containers, it's best to use a mix of about 70% decomposed leaves and 30% native soil. For larger beds, you'll want to increase depth instead of just surface area. The deeper the leaf layer, the longer fertility lasts. Each season, simply add fresh leaves on top. Do not remove old material. The system renews itself automatically, just like a forest floor. Troubleshooting without panic. If plants appear pale early on, decomposition is still in progress. One light application of leaf soak solves this quickly. If pests appear, the system is usually too dry. Moist leaf litter supports predator insects that keep pests balanced. If odor develops, the pile is too wet and needs more airflow. These are simple adjustments, not failures. So here's why this system can actually replace fertilizer completely. Leaf litter, it builds fertility instead of consuming it. Over time, it just keeps improving the structure, the biology, and the resilience of your soil every single season. Plus, it cuts down on labor, watering, and your dependency on outside inputs. And, maybe most importantly, it gives you food that really looks alive and tastes just the way it should. This honestly is just how nature grows, and it never fails. Once you see it in action, buying fertilizer just starts to feel, well, unnecessary. So if this guide has changed the way you think about soil fertility, or even just those fallen leaves, go ahead and subscribe to Farm Basic for more real-world growing systems that truly work. And hey, share this with anyone you know who's still spending money on fertilizer. It's time to start turning what others throw away into the most powerful growing resource you'll ever use.